This is our Prime Bulletin on 22 to 22. We are live on DSTV, channel 421, GoTV 144. Thanks for choosing us. Our headlines this hour. Government, NPP, national leadership and the leadership of the majority in Parliament set to take a final decision on the absence of MP for Donkor. The General Secretary of the party has confirmed to Joy News removing her as MP is firmly on the table.
The other options that we have, you've mentioned one, there are a few other options that we'll consider.
The constitutional one I mentioned is to remove her from Parliament.
I'm saying that one we don't even have to consider as an option. It's constant.
We'll hear from John Boyd, who admits her absence is deeply affecting the party and government. Also, government commits to resolving the concerns of UTAG members who have suspended their 7-week strike and given government a 14-day ultimatum to resolve the concerns of lecturers.
Inside, particularly the Ministry of Education, will remain committed to engaging the leadership of UTAG as per the roadmap that has been developed by the parties.
We have details as an Accra High Court set March 9 to rule on whether the strike by UTAG was legal or not. But the big question for students and parents is, when will UTAG members return to class?
The NEC of UTAG resolved to heed the pleas of the eminent leaders, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education, and other stakeholders to temporarily suspend the strike action up to 4th March 2022.
Also here on Joy News Prime, GPRTU on a collision course with other private transport operators as it mounts a strong defense for the decision to accept 15% increment in transport fares.
The people that we are taking the money from, we also have to think about them. Currently, everybody knows the country is not as it was.
We'll hear from the commuters as they call on government to cushion them against the upward adjustment.
There's not even an increment in our salaries, so it's not going to reflect, and there's going to be some form of hardship. So I think the government should do something about it.
The depreciation of the Ghana cedi continues to threaten the livelihood of second-hand clothes dealers in Cantonment. Stay tuned for more in today's episode of Joy News Living Standard series. In business, Ghana has been ranked as an underperforming economy among 4 nations in sub-Saharan Africa in a new survey.
Interest rates high, and are they even high at all? Comparing Ghana to Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa, Ghana's interest rate is way too high.
I am Ernest Mino. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Stay tuned for details. We start with politics. We can confirm that the executives of the New Patriotic Party, top government officials and leadership of the party in Parliament are set to take a final decision on the absence of Member of Parliament for Donkor, Sarah Adwoa Safo. The General Secretary of the party, John Boyd, confirms all options are currently being considered, including triggering the constitutional provision to remove her as a Member of Parliament. Sarah Adwoa Safo has been accused by leading government officials and some of her colleagues in Parliament of blackmailing the government with a list of demands. Records in Parliament suggest she's now been absent from the House for more than 15 sittings, which is beyond the constitutional permitted threshold for being absent in Parliament without permission. In the following interview, my colleague Evans Mensah speaks to the General Secretary, John Boyd, and he gives us an insight into what has transpired at the very top of the party in an attempt to resolve the issue.
I think that she's been out for some days now, and since Parliament resumed, it's not been back. We've been trying all means to make sure that she's around. You know the nature of our Parliament now, almost close, split in the middle. So if you lose one member, now I normally say that the members of Parliament cannot even get sick. And all that. So it's something that we are working on to make sure that he joins her colleagues in Parliament. Yeah.
So you've reached out to her?
Yes, we have. We have through various means, and She has one concern or the other, but I think that these are concerns that can be addressed. Yeah.
What's her main concern?
Oh, initially it was about the children. Later, well, some few other personal concerns that she raised, but I don't think it's so major. Said that to keep her out of Parliament, and unless, of course, like others are saying that if a member of Parliament has sent his or herself in Parliament for more than 15
sittings
without permission, some kind of process of removal can be triggered and all that. I don't think that we need to get there, but we are a political party, we are an institution, we work with constitution. When it get there, we'll see how best to manage it.
Kennedy Japan had said yesterday on GTV and today on Asase that one of her demands was that make her deputy majority leader.
Well, I've also heard such concerns raised or demands raised, but it's curious to note that because parliamentary leadership is not a permanent thing for individuals. It is, in fact, it is the National Council of the party that decides who leads or who becomes deputy.
So that is a party decision?
It's a party decision. It's not even government decision. So it is a party that decides. And since we decided the leadership for this parliament, I haven't received any complaints whatsoever. And it's not as if she was just left in the lurch. She's been made a minister and she's working. We've never received any adverse complaint at all. So it comes to some of us as a surprise. But hey, we are in the world. So
I seem to hear in your voice you don't believe the concerns he has are legitimate enough to keep her out of the house from working for people in a constituency.
Legitimacy depends on who is raising the thing.
But are they legitimate?
Well, as for legitimacy in this manner, she has no right whatsoever to determine or say that she should be made X or Y. The right she has is to be a member of Parliament. As for whether she'll be a minister, that one is the president that determines. So the president can decide to disappoint her or appoint her. As to whether to be at the front bench or leadership of Parliament, it's the National Council of the party that decides. And we've decided long ago. We've never received any adverse comments from her or some petition or the need for her to have been maintained. You know, in all these discussions, we also had some deliberations with government as well to know who government is fielding in one place or the other. Because we cannot, as a party, field our leadership, then the next moment, president decides to appoint the person as a minister. It means that we must replace the person. So all the discussions that we have with the presidency resulted in the kind of leadership that we put there. And you are aware that she was made a minister and she never complained. We were in cabinet together and all that. So it comes to some of us as a surprise. But since I've not had personal or I've not heard from her personally, I sometimes don't want to believe that is a demand from her. Yeah.
But how involved is the party in trying to resolve this rambling, ongoing issue?
The party, government, Parliament.
You're all trying to get her to...
Not just her. We are all concerned, particularly when there's a need for some quorum to be met in Parliament. So there are times that decision has to be made, and by the time we realize 2 or 3 of our members are either outside or are out of jurisdiction, we need to also put our heart together and bring them, including her. It's not the first time. We've brought her before. You remember when we had that vote in Parliament, said that even the NDC said that she's been impersonated. Obviously, it wasn't true. It was very false, and I don't know why the NDC decided to do so, because I personally saw her. And I can also add that Mrs. Oforiata spoke to her. She was going out. Mrs. Oforiata accosted her, had a chat. So I saw her. So I didn't see why the NDC were peddling that falsehood. Yeah.
Is she and her absence hurting the party, the government's interest?
Obviously, yeah, because there are a lot of decisions that ought to have been taken long ago. You come back to E-levy immediately, but not just that, because there are a lot of government decisions and government functions that need to move on. You wouldn't know when the NDC will insist that we should put it to a vote, and if you miss one member of parliament, it means that that particular government program cannot move on. So it is something that nobody can hide and say that we are not concerned about. We are extremely concerned about.
It's pretty dire. Then you see her on TikTok. How does that make you feel?
I'm told that it's an old recording. Yeah, I'm told that's an old recording.
But she's been away for so long. I mean, in that period, she's recorded at least one.
I'm told that's an old recording. And I don't think it's also strange if she's celebrating her birthday and there's a music, she dances to it and it's put on TikTok. Only that it raises a lot of concerns about her not being reasonable. Because when I saw it, before I got to know that it's an old video that is put out, I was so angry, you know, because apart from the other reasons that are raised, some other thing that is because of her health and all that. Therefore, anyone to see her dancing and laughing at her, so to speak, was something that wasn't in a good taste at all.
There's some leading voices in your party, both in Parliament, Kennedy Upon, Bearfield, the Deputy Trade Minister, who believe that the parliamentary procedure must be triggered because she's absented herself for more than 15 sittings, and that triggered to invoke that constitutional provision that would revoke her ability to still remain in the House. What's your take on that?
I think that is their view, you know, as parliamentarians, as colleagues, and they believe that irrespective of the concerns that she has raised, she should have been here to work with them. For whether or not that will be triggered, it will depend on decision by party and the caucus.
Is the party willing and able to crack the whip? Because obviously you are concerned.
We are more than willing if there's a need for it.
Is there a need for it?
I've told you it's a tripartite decision that we will take. Listening to our side in Parliament, listening to government, and also that will inform the party to take the decision. Because she's there on the ticket of the party, and we are the ones who decide whether she should remain there or not, based on what the Constitution says. So it's something that we are mindful, and I'm a bit mindful of the fact that we are still in discussion. So
so you are still trying to get her to come?
We are still trying to put our thoughts together, trying to look at a lot of other options that we can do, and possibly if she will join us, that would be fantastic.
She doesn't?
If she doesn't, then there are other options that we have. You've mentioned one. There are a few other options that we'll consider, which I'm not ready to let you know.
The constitutional one I mentioned is to remove her from Parliament.
One, even the president cannot do anything about it.
But that's definitely an option you are considering.
I'm saying that one we don't even have to consider as an option. It's constant. When we were in school, when we are doing algebra, there's constant K. That one, there's nothing that can be done about it. If it is triggered, there's nothing that we can do about it than to go through the motions, you see. So I think that is important. And because I'm part of some of these decisions and making sure that all other options are explored, I will not be able to talk like Baby Bearfield or talk like Kennedy Japan. Kennedy Japan, for instance, feels so bad about it because apart from the fact that he has 2 children with her, he was involved in her campaign towards the 2020 parliamentary primaries and the main campaign itself. And I think that she's been receiving concerns from people and all that. So you can see the passion with which he speaks about it. But for some of us, we cannot go there.
Very finally, I mean, all the tripartite conversations happening, yourself, government, Parliament, is it positive? Are you getting positive feedback?
Maybe neutral.
It's even worse than, because then you don't know where you are with her.
It's better than negative feedback. Yeah,
you're standing in the middle then you are not making any progress.
It's better. At least there's some move towards decision making.
Okay, independent of her, with or without her, you're getting to a decision.
No, whatever decision we will take will include her. Even if she disagrees with it, she must be part of that decision. So I think that is something that is worrying, and I think that you are also, as a Ghanaian, must be worried, particularly when it stalls government programs and government activities. But we will get there.
I mean, you've been in politics for so long. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Well, maybe other jurisdiction we have. Other jurisdiction, people even resign. Other jurisdiction, people for reason of being late. I remember in UK, there's this member of parliament who asked a question. Unfortunately, he was out when the question was answered. He resigned. So these are things that will occur. You see, the kind of parliament that we have now was going to happen in 2008 if President Akufo-Addo had won one-touch victory. We're going to have 109 members of parliament on our side and close to 120 plus on the side of the NDC. And it will have been worse for us even there. So it's something that we should expect, that as our
from your own ranks, it must surprise you. This is coming from your own ranks. I mean, it must surprise you.
You expect it to come from the other ranks. I'm saying that it is something that we as a people must expect. We'll even get to a point where you have a president with minority in parliament. What we need to do is to learn to live together, learn to grow together. It's uncomfortable, but it's like a bad marriage. You still manage to live with it.
You mentioned Kennedy Japan. He said today that if any of you are retained as executives, he will form another party called Abro. Your reaction to that?
He's my brother. And I think that depending on the question that he was asked, he got a bit angry. I have not spoken to him yet. And I don't know what Boabeng, the Director of Communication, has done to him.
Boabeng said that people like him in the comment, they should be disciplined.
Excuse me, I haven't. And as General Secretary, I don't hear from people. I must hear from the source. So I'll speak to Boabeng and know what exactly is the matter and speak to my brother as well and see why. As for these things, and sometimes Kennedy, when he gets angry, sometimes he can go overboard, and I don't think that is a major issue.
Now, the Deputy Majority Whip, Habib Idrisu, says it won't be prudent at this point to trigger the constitutional provision for her to be removed. He spoke to parliamentary correspondent Kwesi Parker-Wilson.
I don't think the absence of the Honourable Member of Parliament for Dominic Kobinya is a worry to everybody. And leadership, we haven't actually say or will not actually downplay the fact that when she's not coming, it's not affecting the government business. But if members of Parliament are communicating, saying that they want to invoke Order 60, as you said. I haven't actually looked at the order very well, but I do know that 1/6. Yes, 1/6. But actually, the Order 16 doesn't precede Article 97 of the Constitution. Article 97 of the Constitution have made it clear that if a member of Parliament have absent himself for 15 days, he or she, the Speaker, a member will need to move, and it has to be referred to the Committee of Privileges. I don't think we have gotten there yet. She
has absented herself for 15 days without permission, and the votes and proceedings of this House captures that.
If you are telling me that on authority, fine, I cannot say that on authority because looking at, I don't think we have gotten there yet.
Today is the 16th day. I have checked. I've done my homework. Oh, okay. I have checked. Okay. Right from January 25, when Parliament resumed, Adwoa Safo has not been in the chamber, and that is a fact.
Okay, so if that is the fact, but you see, the Constitution in Article 97, like I said, it has made it clear that if he or she hasn't written to the Speaker, the point is that you might not see her name in the order paper or something, and probably maybe he has notified the Speaker.
If you are notified the Speaker, you are absent with permission. But Adwoa is absent without permission.
So that's what I'm saying.
Should her conduct be referred to the Privilege Committee? Simple.
No, at the moment I will not make such an emphatic statement whether it should be referred to the Privilege Committee or not. I cannot make such a statement. I cannot make such a statement. I think when we get to the bridge, we'll cross it.
But have you reached out to her as a leadership?
Oh, leadership, we have been in touch with her previously. You know, she was in the House when we passed the budget, and she was in the House when the appropriation bill was passed. She was in the House when we were adjourning for 2021. But when we resumed in Yes, we haven't actually have a serious government business where we will need her present, but I haven't cited her. But like I said, we have been in touch with her. She has other issues that she is dealing with. But at the end of the day, we are reaching out to her, and she's still a member of our caucus, and we are doing all whatever we can to make sure that we assist her in a way. Activating Article 97 and then activating the privileges committee or referring her to that. I think that it is premature for now for us to determine. We in leadership haven't considered that yet, even though it is not our call. Any member could be able to do that.
So what do you say to your colleagues who are calling for that?
At the moment, like I said, I prefer not to actually make a statement with regards to that one. I just prefer that maybe leadership will meet and then be able to take a decision.
How soon would this be? Because people are worried. I mean, your caucus is where your members.
Leadership will meet, and you will know when leadership meets. Because
but do you know when she's arriving?
I said leadership will meet on that decision, and when leadership meets, then we'll be able to discuss the welfare of every member, every member being present in the chamber, every member while you are absent in the chamber. It's the decision of the whips and that of the leadership. So definitely leadership will have a meeting, and we'll be able to see where we are, what we can be able to do.
Now, away from the NPP, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union is in a sharp disagreement with other transport operators over the decision to accept a 15% increment in transport fares. It follows some driver unions' rejection of the increment announced by the Ghana Roads Transport Coordinating Council. The unions, the Ghana Commuter Drivers, National Concerned Drivers and True Drivers say they have already increased fares by 30%. The increase will affect shared taxis, intra-city transport, popularly known as structural, and intercity transport. The drivers say the hike has been necessitated by the increase in fuel prices. Chairman of the Commuter Drivers Association, Charles Danso, tells my colleague Elton Brobe they won't comply.
From next week, Saturday going, you go around and check whether it is 15% that they are taking.
So meaning what? You'll be charging the 30%?
They will be charging 30%.
In other words, you are rejecting the 15% increment.
They will reject it. They've rejected it. BA, yes. And then Upper East, they are taking the 30%.
But isn't that unlawful, knowing that the coordinating council now says it should be 15%?
Who is the coordinating council? Do they buy fuel for us? Do they buy cars for us? So who are they?
So, Mr. Alonso, you are not accepting a 15% increment?
That's my brother. We increased our fare last time. Even Metro Mass increased their fare about 2 weeks ago. Have you spoken to them?
I just spoke to the secretary to the GPRTCC, and he is of the view that because of competition, some of you might even decide to charge lower than the approved 15%.
We don't know any competition. If you go, maybe the rickety cars are going to charge 15%. We will take 30%.
Isn't that not being unlawful?
What makes it unlawful?
Because there's a communique that says that all of you should charge 15%.
Communicate to who?
To all driver unions.
It's not true. So, Adwoa, we are not part of their Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council. We are not part of GPRTU. If there is a coordinating council, is GPRTU not an organization? Why are they not part of JRTCC?
Were you consulted before this meeting that came to this decision?
We were not consulted.
But the secretary to the Roads Transport Coordinating Council, Emmanuel Adwoa, says the demands of the breakaway unions are unjustified.
They came out with some percentages which we thought was quite outrageous and, not based on scientific facts. So we have to meet and determine what we can do to support the industry as a whole. The word of any personal interest and any parochial positions.
So this decision you've taken, or this announcement that has come out, has the backing of all the unions?
To a very large extent, yes, because the coordinating council and the GPRS are arguably the largest transport operators in Ghana. We command over 90%, 95% of the total operations. And this has been the forum where prices are discussed and implemented over the years, for the past 6 years or more. I mean, it's more than even 10 years. So we have done it over the years, and we think we are the right people to come out to the first. And like I said earlier on, not all of them will be happy, but well, as it stands now, that's what we have. So we must bear with us and work with it.
At the time we started the discussion, a little of fuel as we are buying now was much lower. Now it's 7.999, almost 8 Ghana cedis per liter. You didn't look at it because basically the premise of when you started was much lower than what we are paying now. Yes,
the point is, what the practice over the years has been that anytime fuel price goes up from the previous increase for more than 10%, we have to trigger negotiations to start price adjustment. However, since the last time we increased our fuel price on, I think June last year, fuel has gone up over 25%.
Yeah.
So already we have covered that threshold about twice. But we think we had to wait so that we can factor other things into it.
Some unions obviously are not happy with the 15% increment. They were hoping for more. What will happen to them, especially drivers that may decide not to comply with the directive by the Coordination Council and may charge as and when they want?
Well, we've actually sent a communique. We've sent signal to all the leadership of the unions to be sure all their members comply. We've also spoken to the regional coordinating councils to also make sure people comply. It's not about going there to stand with a cane or something.
The head of communications for the GPRTU, Imora Abba, says they stand by the new increment in transport fares given the economic hardship facing the country.
To be honest, we have to look at many things, thinking about our business and thinking about the citizens as well. So this is what I would say. But by then, we have introduced something which there was no document on. We've been saying we have 10% threshold, that if the fuel prices get to 10% after any upward adjustment, then of course we have to look for another lower fare prices. But by then we included it to the current communique. We put it in it officially, whereby it has become a document that we can use any time the fuel prices from now increase by 10%. That will be about 8.8 cedis a liter. Then yes, we will come out with an upward adjustment in lower fares. So this is another improvement that we've included in it.
But many of your members are not happy with this 15%, increment that will take effect.
Not many. We know some of our members. Yes, of course, we are working. We are looking for money. But the people that we are taking the money from, we also have to think about them. Currently, everybody knows the country is not as it was. Everybody is talking about money, no job, etc., etc. So at times we have to consider all these things. How shall it benefit a man if you gain what you want and lose the business you are doing? If we come in with very harsh or a very high demand and you place your car at the station, nobody comes to join. What business do you have doing there? So we have to consider all these things before coming out with a reasonable percentage.
So what went into this percentage?
Normally, we look at the fuel prices up and spare parts, lubricants. Even if you can recall, government at its budget presentations said effective 1st January, government activities is going to attract 15% upward adjustment. We took all these things into consideration.
So we spoke to some drivers here in Accra who are demanding more in the increase in transport fares. Listen.
For the 15%, it's not enough at all. At all. But we have to manage. But one thing I want to tell them is, I'm buying it at 20 cedis. And then when the next day I wake up in the morning, they tell me it's 30 cedis. Where am I going to get that money? And if even you want to make an increase, if you want to make an increment, you will tell me to wait till Saturday. Whilst I'm still buying the thing at the increased price. Just I don't understand. But that 15%, oh, we have to manage it. But it's not enough. We are working at a loss.
The men they say they increase the fuel. The men they say they increase the lorry fare. No, they rather increase the fuel about 4 times, meaning that the 15% increment too is valueless. So at the moment we are working buying diesel without getting anything. So because of that, most of the drivers they have grudge with their car owners. So they have to come to our intervention. Without that, we don't know what to do.
The percentage now, the percentage was very small for us. But the increase has been, the fuel has been increased over and over, frequently. And as the fuel has been increased 3 or 4 times, and you just increase the price for 40%, is not enough for us. Because after the increment, after this percentage, I hope there will be another increment. So when the other increments come, we cannot also increase the price again. Are you getting me? Yeah, so the price should be enough so that when the another increment comes, we cannot increase our prices anymore. So I think it's okay, but it's not enough. The government should increase it more. It should be 40 or 50%.
We are not that okay, but as they are, that's what they want to give to us. So we don't have anything to do. 15 days, as a song, 30 na, because we are 2 petrol 3 times. Yanto fair so ye bibia omanus you my den on the petrol na no to so no giska no so on share drivers for no hu ye mobo on to fair no so into 15 days so on ye 30 my ye bre sesi aye adwuma petrol no filling station for na diska no wo be ye adwuma be pon driver wu nya ahwe mate no so nya ahwe.
Well, some commuters want government to cushion them against the increment in the transport fare, saying it will worsen the economic burden.
I think it's going to affect passengers and even Ghanaians in general, because an increment in petrol price means that there's going to be the general increment of goods and services. And looking at that, there's not even an increment in our salaries. So it's not going to reflect, and there's going to be some form of hardship. So I think the government should do something about it.
It's really going to affect the citizens, because they are always increasing the fare and salaries are not being increased. So basically, the citizens are going to suffer. We are going to suffer a lot. Yeah, we are really suffering in this country.
The citizens are really suffering. So the government is really supposed to do something about it, because we are really suffering. The transport, the increasement of the transport is too much. So the government has to do something about it and increase it, decrease it.
It's very bad, especially at this time when the economy is everything is going up, and the government is not creating jobs for the youth. They've increased their salary, they've increased petroleum, but they don't want the truck drivers and the bus to increase their fare. So actually everything is bad. Things are not going well as it stands right now.
Meanwhile, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has been explaining how the rising prices in petroleum products are significantly impacting inflation, which stands at a 6-year high. He's been speaking at a National Energy Transition Dialogue here in Accra.
On 21st December 2021, inaugurated the National Energy Transition Committee to prepare a plan that will guide Ghana's process. As part of its activities, the committee is conducting nationwide stakeholder consultations to solicit inputs from Ghanaians. This forum is the first of such engagements, which will continue to 6 other regional belts in the country. I urge you to provide meaningful contributions that will serve as inputs for the preparation of the plan. In a bid to transition smoothly, Ghana must seek to increase its natural gas-based electricity generation. We shall also harness the use of our gas resources by expanding gas pipelines to key demand centers across the country and increase access to LPG for cooking in households. We all have to be aware that this transition is going to take place over the next 30 years. But the cost of that transition, even though it's going to be over the next 30 years, the costs are being felt today. There's less and less funding available for oil exploration and exploitation. And you are seeing this in an increase in oil prices globally today, as this transition is being talked about and is taking place. But we, in many of the developing countries, are facing these very high costs of petroleum prices, and that is resulting in many economic impacts, such as inflation in many countries, as prices of goods increase in response to the increase in petroleum prices.
This is Johnny's Prime with me and Esmino. Still to come, the depreciation of the Ghana cedi continues to threaten the livelihood of second-hand clothes dealers in Kantamanta. We have more in our Joy Living Standard series, and later in business, Ghana ranked as an underperforming economy among 4 nations in sub-Saharan Africa in a new survey.
Why are interest rates high, and are they even high at all? Comparing Ghana to Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa, Ghana's interest rate is way too high.
It's time for business. I'm Charles Aite. Ghana has been ranked as an underperforming economy among 4 other nations in sub-Saharan Africa, including South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya. According to a survey undertaken by senior lecturer at the Economics Department of the University of Ghana, Dr. Priscilla Chumesi-Bafo, Ghana performed below expectations in all the indicators. For instance, the country's interest rate is currently on the rise, whilst its debt on total size of the economy is also a major concern. Here's more.
In a recent survey undertaken by senior lecturer at the Economics Department of the University of Ghana, the country placed last among 4 economies in sub-Saharan Africa. This was as a result of an unstable economic environment. Here's Dr. Priscilla Chumesi-Bafo presenting her findings at the Axis Pension Strategy Conference.
Why are interest rates high, and are they even high at all? Comparing Ghana to Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa, Ghana's interest rate is way too high. We are doing more than double what is happening elsewhere. Look at the South Africans' interest rate, 7.3%. Nigeria, it's also great, but when you look at options for investment, you find that Nigeria is not doing too great compared to Ghana. So my emphasis really will be on Kenya and South Africa, because we want to look at best practice.
Another survey conducted by Axis Pension Trust showed that 72% of participants believed that equity markets will maintain momentum for pension funds in 2022. Presenting the findings, investment strategist Carl Okran explained that valuation levels are cheap to cause an increase in liquidity.
On the equity market, an interesting outcome, majority of
participants believe that the equity market will maintain its momentum in 2022. 72% believe that. What is going to drive the equity market is valuation levels are cheap. From financial market perspective, if you look at where the market is trading, there's so much opportunity to earn some healthy returns, and also the new guidelines that sort of allows or promotes pension funds to enhance their allocation to the equity market may drive some liquidity into that space.
Meanwhile, Chief Investments Officer at Axis Pension Trust, Nanawi Afebuama, outlines some sectors trustees can maximize values for contributions.
Our pension funds have invested over 90% of the assets in government or quasi-government securities. And we feel, if we really want to grow our economy and create a needed, job, then we may consistently, have to start allocating to the real sector. Tourism is an opportunity we could exploit. There's healthcare. People get sick and people need, to be, treated. So healthcare remains an opportunity, right, for pension funds. Real estate, remains a very good, opportunity. So it cuts across. It cuts across agriculture, agribusiness, value addition. Those are all sectors we can direct resources to, to help grow, our economy.
Away from that, economist Dr. Adwoa Safo says the economy will be impacted severely if government fails to get the E-levy passed. He's therefore appealing to government to incorporate all the suggestions made by Ghanaians over the proposed electronic transaction levy and convince the minority in Parliament to support its passage.
When you compound it with the cedi depreciation, then the fuel price will go up. With the fuel price increases, transportation fares will go up. We have heard of 30% increment in transport fares. Then the consequence of this is inflation and then high cost of living. And Bank of Ghana will obviously also want to respond by increasing the policy rate. And so I won't be surprised if in their next meeting they increase the policy rate to mitigate the effect of inflation. But in the attempt to increase the policy rate, it will then increase interest rate, the lending rate, which will increase the cost of borrowing, increase the cost of production, and then compound the increase in inflation. And so the problems might keep compounding. How do we resolve the issue? We have the long-term solution as to resolve the structure of the economy, get more export promotion, import substitution. That is a long-term solution. The medium-term solution is for government to mobilize enough resources.
And just before we go, government has reduced the benchmark values on general goods from 50% to 30%, as well as import discounts on vehicles from 30% to 10%. The reduction follows a consensus between the Finance Minister, Ken Oforiatta, and leadership of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, the Institute of Freight Forwarders, and the Ghana Revenue Authority. Joy Business gathers from the consultative meeting that government may implement the new adjustment in March this year as preparations are underway for a final announcement of the said day. We shall keep an eye on this to give you updates, but that's it for business. I'm Charles Aite. We have sports coming up. Just stay with us.
And let's begin with the Ghana Premier League because nominations for Player and Coach of the month of January is already out. Let's go through the slides. And you have Dr. Prosper Nete Ogum, Asante Kotoko, 5 matches, 4 wins, 1 draw, 0 losses in the nomination. Also nominated Umar Abdul Rabi Mediema, 6 matches, 3 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss. Kasim Mengel Okanse, also from Bechem United, 5 matches, 2 wins, and 3 draws. He's lost none so far. And that's for the month of January. So these are the nominees for Coach of the Month from the Ghana Premier League. Bismarck Kobe Mensah, Kerala United, 5 matches, 3 wins, 2 draws. He's lost none. Now let's look at the players for the month of January. The nominations: Frank Imbela, from Asante Kotoko. And of course, this man was in the news ahead of that crucial match on Sunday. 5 goals scored, 2 MVPs also won. Yawano of Ashanti Gold has also been nominated. 4 goals scored, 1 MVP won. And we also have Umar Bashir for Kerala United FC, also nominated. 4 goals scored and 1 MVP won. So these are the nominations for player and coach of the month of January for the Ghana Premier League. Away from football, the Association of African Sports Federation has threatened to withdraw from the 13th edition of the Africa Games to be staged here in Accra next year. The body claims it has not been involved in the planning of the event. Local Organizing Committee Chairman Dr. Ofosu Asari says government is engaging all stakeholders to ensure a successful competition.
Efforts are being made to bring everybody to the table. As LOC members, we want every member, every stakeholder to be part of the games. These games are for Africans, I should say. And these games are owned by the African Union. So when there's a problem at that level, it's very simple. An agreement was signed for the Moroccan Games, and those who signed the agreement, we were not party to the agreement. The 3 parties who signed the agreement, there are a bit of misunderstanding, and I have always argued that every contract you sign, there are articles like how to resolve disputes and how to terminate the contract. So if you have a challenge, you have to, invoke these articles and get them rectified. Nonetheless, we on our part believe that these issues are issues that can be resolved. We've made the president, at the highest level, efforts are being made to get those issues resolved. So I have every belief that these issues will be resolved as quickly as possible, and it will not threaten the games. Let's be very clear. Athletes must be placed at the center of the games. The games are for athletes. The games are not for individuals. So whatever we're doing, we have to place the athletes at the center of it. These games, don't forget, are to promote peace in Africa. These games are to bring about unity in Africa. These games are to provide platforms for the youth to showcase their talents, to build their careers. These games are meant for Africa. So we must think like Africans, and we must bury our parochial interests and work together as Africans. This is what we have as Africans. The African Games are for all of us. So if there are any misunderstandings, I think that we should look at it as Africans and resolve the differences. And this is possible. I mean, it is not impossible for these things. It's good that they've come out at these early stages so that we can get them resolved. And I have every belief we'll get them resolved. So rest assured, it is up to us also, the way we portray what is happening. You know, I just read an article, one was saying, oh, yeah, are we in a limbo or what? I mean, we're not in a limbo, we are on course.
Becky is here, she has the very latest. Hello, Becky.
Hello to you, Ernest. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. So, you know, I brought you Dinah Hamilton experience.
Accra version?
Accra,
yeah.
But I haven't told you about what happened.
Kumasi, yeah. I know the train was in Kumasi.
It was a bomb. That's what I heard. But my colleague, well, our colleague, Emmanuel Bright Kweku, was there and he captured all these.
It was an electrifying night, coupled with God's blessings as patrons worshipped and danced to spirit-filled tunes from gospel artists. The likes of Joe Mettle.
It was a great blessing. People were blessed. We worshiped, we praised, we prayed, and I believe that God have touched these people. God has blessed people, and many that came here are not living the same. So it was a great blessing.
Becky Bonnie, PSA Esther, and many more. Then came the icing on the cake. Dinah Hamilton treating patrons to some Pentecostal praises. Here's Executive Manager of Dinah Hamilton, King David, who was amazed at the numbers that thronged the auditorium.
Kumasi has really impressed us. They came, they turned out, they worshipped.
Some patrons who spoke to Love News were excited they had the opportunity to worship in that atmosphere.
Perfect, amazing. I mean, she's a lovely singer. I love her tracks. I followed her for that long. They're my favorite, Adum. And you saw me on the dance floor when she sang Adum. I'll be here by grace, and I appreciate that.
I really enjoyed the program. I experienced a lot. In fact, we have experienced the power of God in the midst of all the other musicians. In fact, everyone has been a blessing, I believe. I am blessed.
Blew my mind. God did it again. And we are super grateful to him for that.
It was indeed a thankful, prayerful, and riveting night in the presence of God through music. For Joy Entertainment, Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
Beautiful. Dinah is loved.
Everywhere. I love
People show up whenever she's organizing their concerts.
Don't you love Dinah?
Absolutely, I do. And she knows that.
We love you, Dinah. But let's move on. Let's talk about another fantastic gospel musician, Celestine Donkor. She was on Daybreak Hits, and she's been talking about, you know, the gospel music industry, and a conversation about whether or not we have musicians here, gospel musicians here in Ghana who can, you know, perform outside the country.
Yeah, I know she's done a lot of collaborations, especially with a new album.
Exactly. And so she said that, well, she's loved back in Kenya, and her songs are streamed all over in Kenya.
I don't know what is happening, but it's doing so well in Kenya ahead of Ghana. Yes.
Kenya?
So well, yes.
Kenya?
Yeah.
Wow.
Ahead of Ghana. And so...
In this case, well, with the analytics, well, is it via streams you're checking, or
It's
on
not-
radio? How all of these things are being supplied by, is it by your plugs? For example, Boomplay?
You're able to check on your stream portal. You're able to check on your YouTube portal. You're able to check on your social media portals. Yeah. So it's something that you need to know how it works. I don't know. I can't.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
It's all right. Don't go further.
You need to understand how it works to know how to do it. So you need to get a professionals who know their job, and they can
Kenya
help
is
you.
doing well than Ghana.
Kenya is actually leading in terms of streaming and viewing of my current EP.
Interesting.
And so if I know this, then it means that, for instance, if we want to host an event in Kenya, it's a smart idea.
In this
because
case, what have you done uniquely in Kenya? Or nothing really?
Uniquely in Kenya?
Or it's just organic? It's just, you mean...
I've been to Kenya 2 times or 3 times for one biggest concert, the Praise Atmosphere.
Wow.
Yes, and one of my performances went like wildfire. It had 1 million views in 2 days.
Wow.
Yes, in Kenya. They have actually named me the crazy woman.
What craze?
Crazy woman.
Why?
It was this song, Somebody Hearing My Voice. I think I just went crazy with the song on the stage because I felt like people need to hear that God can work. You know, it was that part of me that just came up on the stage.
Well, Celestine Donkor.
And her show is also coming up, right?
The show is coming
Celestial
up.
Praise.
And Joy Entertainment were partners, and so I mean, you know that when you're partners with Joy Entertainment, everything, you know, goes on well for you. But let's talk about
large and in charge.
We are always large and in charge. Let's talk about the Adwoa hitmaker. When was the last time you heard from Busom Pinyong? That's his name, Busom Pinyong. You know, so
what's he been?
So at a point he said that
he still has a pink hair.
Yes, he still has a pink hair, and I think that is his, you know, brand. You have to respect that.
Well, I've said nothing. I was just asking.
He's rather should I say sad, because he thinks that he's created or he's paved way for drill music in Ghana, and nobody is talking about it. Nobody is
giving him credit.
Yeah, nobody's making a big deal about it, and it's like he's nowhere. So I had a conversation with him recently, asking him about whether or not, just for him to explain really what he meant by us giving, or Ghanaians giving him his flowers whilst he's still here.
No, the case is, you know, my grandmama was having a saying, Nipa Tisabe Kwai, one kind of share, Ebenina. So it was like I was remembering people who I am, basically. So I was like, yo, I'm the guy who was holding the trap and the drill music down during Corona, so I should not be forgotten that easily. So I made way for a whole lot of artists. So I think they should give me my flowers. It's not like they've totally forgotten about me. I was telling them this is the path I created and I deserve credit. It's just that.
And you think that we haven't given you credit enough?
Not too much credit.
What were you expecting from people like me, the media, and you know, the industry?
Ghana Music Awards, no, because say me them 22 gumwa, cool, because yo, it's a different thing that we brought in the industry. You could tell, yeah, for real.
And have you been keeping? Have you been keeping that going? Because if I recall, it was just, you know, the Atadwa. We can remember you of the Atadwa hitmaker.
Okay.
What else?
What else? Oh, I have bangers. You know, bangers for this. You know, just that the bangers is like a hierarchy. You know, there are various of it. And if I drop Atadwa, it doesn't mean my other songs wasn't bangers. You know, I have bangers like Odonium, Low Paper. I say I have banger with the Low Paper. You know, everybody knows Asabone. I don't want to mention a whole lot. You know, I did a whole lot. You know, and everybody knows. You know it. Don't trip. It's only Atadwa.
What is the problem with the industry? What do you think is the challenge for you as an artist? You know, or is there a problem with releasing bangers? Is it that difficult? Tell me about it. I have no idea.
We have bottle bangers in on our pieces and all that, but it's not the bangers. You know. Scanim.
Okay, so there's no money in the industry.
For real, there's no money.
How do we, you know, get money in the industry? There's a conversation out there that the artists themselves don't get, you know, people to invest in the industry. Some people argue that is the attitude of the artists, reason why we're not getting investors. Do you agree with that?
I agree in any other sense, you know. It's from me, it's from you, it's from everybody, you know. It's from Ghanaians, you know. It's from Africa, and I don't blame it. And sometimes you can't. It's a natural effect on Ghanaians, you know. Talk about the population and all that. So I don't blame Ghanaians, but I think with time we are getting there and we'll get there.
Why should an investor invest in the brand Bosom Pyong?
Because Bosom Pyong is different, and I'm from Africa, and Africa is the future. Since I'm from Africa, Africa is the future. It's simple. I don't want to get it twisted. Most songs that are popping right now, even in the States, is Afro. So that means Africa is the future.
Bosom Pyong right there. So
when did you get him, by the way?
It was at the launch of the Legendary Night, which is actually set to happen in London, 26th of March. This year.
We're looking forward to his next song. So.
Well, he said he has a lot of songs, a lot of hit songs. It's because we are not giving him the opportunities. I don't know what.
Like it's out there already, or he's yet to release them?
He'll release it, please. Okay. Please relax for him.
We are relaxing for him.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Becky, for bringing us Showbiz. That's it for Showbiz. We have more stories for you here on Joy News Prime. Don't go away. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Now, government says it will do everything within its power to ensure that the concerns of University Teachers Association of Ghana is resolved. UTAG suspended its 7-week-old strike on Monday, but gave government up to the 4th of March to address the issues that caused them to drop their tools. We'll hear from the spokesperson of the Education Ministry shortly, but first, listen to the National President of UTAG, Professor Solomon Nunu.
The NEC of UTAG held an emergency meeting on Monday
21st February 2022 at the University for Professional Studies, Accra, to deliberate on the way forward regarding the withdrawal of teaching and related services on the various campuses of the public universities. Following this, members evaluated the entire strike action with the aim of reaping the full benefit of improving the conditions of service of its members. The NEC of UTAG also considered the impact of our industrial action on our students and appeals that came from student groups like NUCS, USAG, GRASAG, and also the general public, especially parents and respected eminent leaders, including former President J. Kufuor, Chancellor of University of Mines and Technology, Takwa, Sir Sam Juna, Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, and the National Security Minister, who came in on behalf of the President, and also the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the meeting, the NEC of UTAG resolved to heed the pleas of the eminent leaders, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education, and other stakeholders to temporarily suspend the strike action up to 4th March 2022 to engage with the employer. For this, we call on the government to take advantage of this window to help improve the salary and general working conditions of the university teacher. We also call on the government to see to the implementation of the several agreements that have been signed in recent times. We call on all members of UTAG also to rally behind leadership and remain calm and resolute at this important phase of our history. In many forums, the employer has agreed with stakeholders that there is the need to improve the conditions of service of the university teachers. Thus, we are cautiously optimistic that the government will do the needful to improve the working conditions of the university teacher. We know that the government has not fulfilled its part of the bargain in many signed agreements in the recent past. However, the involvement of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education and other eminent persons, we expect the government to carry through its promises this time round. We will, however, not hesitate to resume the suspended strike action should government renege on its commitments at the end of the stipulated period of negotiation.
We can now hear from the spokesperson of the Education Ministry, Kwesi Kwarteng, who says government will ensure that the issues are resolved.
We take the opportunity to once again commend our professors, our teachers in the various universities, that is the University Teachers Association of Ghana, for their demonstration of good faith and goodwill, and in calling of the strike action. As our government side, particularly the Ministry of Education, we remain committed to engaging the leadership of UTAG as per the roadmap that has been developed by the parties in resolving these issues amicably. And so it's a step in the right direction. It's very progressive, and we believe that parties will resolve whatever outstanding issues as soon as possible.
Meanwhile, in court today, the Labour Division of the Accra High Court has set March 9 as the date to deliver its judgment on the case brought before it by the National Labour Commission. But the big question is when students can expect their lecturers back into the classroom. Lawyer for UTAG, Kwesi Kelly, the latter, spoke to the media after the said suspension of the strike and said this may take up to a week to materialize.
Well, we should give ourselves a week. We should give ourselves a week because the Constitution of UTAG says that when NEC takes the decision either to call a strike or call it off, it needs to communicate this to its general membership within 5 days. So my expectation is that within the next 5 days, that communication to the general membership of the University Teachers Association of Ghana will be done, and then we see the way forward.
The release that UTAG came out with, they said that it will be they are willing to suspend the strike for 2 weeks. Does that mean will it take effect after the members have approved of the decision to suspend the strike?
Absolutely, absolutely, okay. Absolutely. And the overwhelming reason why the UTAG National Executive Committee decided to call off the strike, suspend the strike, is because of the intervention of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education. They're giving them the full assurances that if the strike is suspended, they will get the parties involved, the government
side especially, to begin negotiations immediately on the thorny issues which are remaining on the conversation. So we expect that to happen. And then again, I mean, these are human beings. The National Executive of UTAG, the National Executive Committee, they are human beings as well. I mean, they see on the campuses every day hundreds of students who are stranded. It appears to them that this is like students who have been taken for granted in a movie they played no part in producing. So hopefully in the coming week we should see the suspension come into effect, and then we wait on government to show good faith as a way of moving the discussions and the negotiations forward.
Business, the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa is strengthening its mechanisms to reduce illicit financial transactions in the SAP region. We have more in this report.
This is why you have to constantly seek knowledge and sharpen your skills. As investigative journalists, the outcome of your investigations must at all times be without ambiguity. It is often said that a free and vibrant press is essential in a democratic society, but it is equally important that stories reported by journalists, and for that matter, investigative journalists, are accurate and substantiated with facts. This will go a long way to help the society. As journalists, as you know, you must not have just sources, but very reliable sources to help you do a good work. You should ensure that the story is not just to discredit someone, but to present the facts as revealed by the investigation. In other words, you should as much as possible take a disinterested position. Mr. Chairman, the focus of this three-day workshop, I believe, is to help improve the quality and objectivity of the information investigative journalists present to the public.
Now, some members of the National Inland Canoe Fishermen Council are calling on the National Fisheries Association in Ghana to, as a matter of urgency, lead a roadmap towards the election of new traditional executives to the council. Here's more.
We will call on National Fisheries Association of Ghana, NAFAC, the national umbrella body for all fishermen associations in the country, to facilitate national meeting of inland fishermen across all the inland fishing districts in the country. That the outcome of such a meeting shall determine the way forward in constituting executives at the various organs from the community level up to the national executive and the council of elders level. The inland fishermen wish to inform all Ghanaians, especially the executive arm and government, the executive arm of government, the legislature, the judiciary, and the media, that currently the National Inland Canoe Fishermen Council has no recognized executives, that all concerned about the plight of the inland fishermen in the country should join hands with us to revamp the once vibrant association. We also want to let the nation know that because there is no national executive committee in place, the association is not able to do serious business with the government. For example, as we speak, the association has no member on the National Premix Fuel Committee.
Away from that, traders in Shea butter say that sales have declined this Harmattan season compared to previous years. Though the severity of the Harmattan has declined in recent years, some traders say that they are losing customers to chemically formulated butter. Love FM's Monalisa Frimpong has more in this report.
43-year-old Salamatu Abdallah has been selling shea butter since age 5. She has observed the severity of the Harmattan season declining over the years is a situation that has adversely affected her sales. Now, the highest profits she can record in a day is 10 Ghana cedis compared to the previous 50 cedis a day. But she is positive sales may shoot up the next season.
About 1 day now, almost it's only 2 days. And I'm saying, you talk around on your one city cry.
This season's Hamatan was not severe. We made little sales.
You told the doing the bit nanya. Bear 50 cedar cocoa bit nanya. Say pen until I want 1 2 city. A pair of how we commit marathon.
There is a growing apathy among traders to venture into the sales of shea butter. The few who are still trading in the commodity in the central business district of Kumasi are dispersed. Salamatu says this trade requires patience.
And I'm saying, you're not for you now. You won't be on my phone. Obiano, what's meaning, one could turn a Juman, no, at my. And I'm saying, any.
Many of my colleagues share butter traders have stopped their trade. They say it is not lucrative. The reduction in demand for shea butter can be due to decline in the use of raw shea butter for skincare. Whilst people say it darkens their complexion, others fear it causes acne. Though they testify of its authenticity, a number of people have switched to the use of chemically formulated body butters.
For me, I use the processed ones, but at first I was using the raw ones. I remember all the way from SHS to tertiary and even beginning parts when I gave birth. I was using raw butter for everything I was doing. It was okay for me, but then at a point, I think I used the process because people were saying, "Oh, shea butter there, what's the one that has been processed."
Personally, I do not use shea butter, but I use it on my kids.
Pimples break out on my face whenever I use shea butter. But entrepreneur Michelle Apanga's case is different. The use of raw shea butter helped in treating her and her son's skin conditions. This made her venture into the business of adding value in processing raw shea butter.
Those who knew about the challenge I had would ask for, what's that thing that worked for the boy? And then that's how I started, because I was giving a whole lot of free samples out. So why not make something out of it?
Michelle is now a strong player in the cosmetic industry. She gives insight into how traders can better the shea butter trade.
Usually, it's the way they handle it in the market. You want shea butter, it's out there in the open. Water is sprinkled on it, bacteria is growing. You don't know what is in there. You use and slightly say, oh, maybe I use shea butter, I darken. But you have no idea how that is being treated, even how they package it in there. So it's education.
The shea butter industry has the potential to contribute to the economic and industrial development of the nation, especially with a wide range of industrial application of shea butter. So, developing the shea butter value chain will definitely create employment across all levels of the shea butter value chain. Reporting for Joy News, Mona Lisa Frimpong.
And that'll be it for business, but we'll leave you with international business news, of which we have sports. Just stay with us.
And thanks for staying with us. The second round of the Ghana Premier League starts this weekend with thrilling games at 9 league centres. Ahead of the week 18 encounters, the GFA president, Keto Kweku, has assured referees of his outfit's continued support.
Refereeing has been key on the agenda, and I think that we've been very proactive. I mean, referees who have not been up to speed, obviously, are taken through the due process, i.e. when clubs complain about bad officiating, etc., etc. The match review panel is there to have a look at the performances and advise accordingly. So I think we are on the right track. Refereeing will definitely be on the rise. It will not take one day. Don't forget, we also invested in communication gadgets for match officials, and we're going to invest in more communication gadgets very soon.
Let's now talk about sports infrastructure development, and a sort has been cut for the construction of the first ever AstroTurf for the Ghana Prison Service. That's one the following report.
The Mamobi Prisons Park here in Accra will undergo a massive facelift in 6 months' time. When completed, it will boast of a standard football pitch, fencing and floodlights. Speaking during the sword cutting ceremony, Director General of the Ghana Prisons Service, Isaac Kofi Ejio, outlined the importance of the service's first ever AstroTurf.
Significantly, this is the first of its kind in the service, and I would like to thank Ghana Gas for this wonderful, generous gift. From the briefings that I've had so far about this project, I have no doubt at all that the project is going to present a platform that prison officers are going to practice discipline and also maintain bond amongst ourselves. You also agree with me that in healthy competitions, such as football competitions, the competition itself teaches the values of discipline, tolerance, and cooperation. And these are the cardinal values with which we in the Ghana Prison Service will work. And therefore, this project couldn't have come at a more opportune time than this. And also given the fact that we have just taken on board over 2,000 new officers, and therefore the project is going to be of immense benefit to the service.
Mr. Ejiu also assured contractors Wembley Sports of the prison service's maximum support.
At this point, I would like to assure you that we also remain committed to assist and support the project right from the beginning to its successful end. And by that, I mean we have our technical staff, very competent ones. We are going to make them available to the project so that they also, as far as the nitty-gritty of prisons, desires, and needs are concerned, they will be there to support and make the project very relevant to the Ghana Prison Service.
The long-term goal of Wembley Sports Construction Company Limited is to construct an ultra-modern AstroTurf in every constituency in the country.
Thanks for staying with us. AKN University lecturer standing trial over his missing wife has pleaded not guilty to kidnapping, a deceit of public officer when he appeared before a Kumasi High Court. Dr. Wilberforce Nkrumah Agre's plea was taken for the first time after his arrest in October 21. He was making his maiden appearance at a Kumasi High Court a day after he was discharged by the Asokwa District Court. The court has also issued a bench warrant for the arrest of 2 other persons in connection with the case. Ohime Terry of our security desk was in court and now reports.
Dr. Wilberforce Agri made his maiden court appearance before the Kumasi High Court after being discharged by the Asokwa District Court on Monday after several months of appearance before that lower court. On Tuesday, he was slapped with 2 charges of kidnapping and deceit of public officer. But Dr. Wilberforce Agri pleaded not guilty to all the 2 charges. Counsel for the accused person pleaded for bail for him because he's been in police custody since his arrest on October 6, 2021 by the AG's office, represented by State Attorney Edward Ado Irenchi, objected to calls for bail for the accused person. The presiding judge, His Lordship Daniel Obin, remanded the accused into prison custody to reappear on March 8, 2022. The court has also issued bench warrant for the arrest of 2 accomplices identified as Yabuatin and Justice Apia. According to the court, Yabuatin is said to have found an Infinix phone of the missing Rodalyn Amuadako and sold it to Justice Apia. Though the 2 accomplices were expected in court today, they refused to appear, hence the issuance of bench warrant for their arrest. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohime Interior reporting.
And here in the studio, my name is Ernest Mino. That's it for our show tonight. Many thanks for your company. Please log on to myjoyonline.com. You find more stories there. Up next is PM Express with Evans Mensah. Stay tuned in.